1, 2, 3, tap. Hey Raiders, Jacko here with another Raid Shadow Legends video. Today we're going to continue in our beginner's tutorial series. And today's subject is going to be an aspect of the champions that we really haven't gone into yet. And that aspect is going to be the Masteries. So over here we've got the Masteries, which gives you a blank setup here. But if you come to the Masteries button, it'll bring up essentially a skill tree. If you've played any MMOs or anything along those lines in the past, you probably know what a skill tree is. Essentially, you've got 3 different trees that you can go into, each that have special abilities. The offense tree, the defense tree, and the support tree. Now, in Raid Shadow Legends, you'll be able to put points in 2 of these trees. There are also 6 levels. You unlock levels depending on the star level of your champion. So you have to get your champion to 6 stars to be able to put in a level 6 ability. Pretty simple in that regard. Additionally, you will have 2 level 1s that you can choose, 3 level 2s, 3s, 4s, and 5s, so 3s from each of the middle levels, but only 1 level 6 ability. Pretty simple. There are guides out there about all of the different abilities and everything, but let's go over a few that are really key, especially in the early game. So in the early game, Deadly Precision over here in the offense tree is wonderful, plus 5% crit rate. So flat 5%. This is helpful on anybody that you want to do damage. If you're going to go into the offense tree, you're going to want that 5% crit rate over this plus 75 attack every time. Down from there, you've got Keen Strike, which is plus 10% crit damage. Goes kind of nice with the first one, might as well. So a typical offensive build will come down this left-hand side, getting Deadly Precision, getting Keen Strike, heading down to Single Out, increase damage inflicted to targets with less than 40% HP by 8%. You're going to come down this side and end with either War Master here, has a 60% chance of inflicting bonus damage when attacking. Bonus damage is equal to 10% of the target champion's max HP or 4% of the target's max HP when attacking bosses. Bonus damage can only occur once per skill and does not count as an extra hit. So you'll either want War Master or, that's Helm Smasher, or Giant Slayer. Has a 30% chance of inflicting bonus damage when attacking. Bonus damage is equal to 7.5% of the target champion's max HP or 3% of the target's max HP when attacking bosses. I can read, I swear, it's not something I struggle with. Bonus damage can occur on each hit of a skill, but does not count as an extra hit. So, the difference there is War Master can only proc once per skill. Giant Slayer can attack or proc on each hit of a skill. So the math gurus have determined that if you have an A1, so your basic skill that does 3 attacks or more, such as Coldheart has 4 attacks on her A1, Giant Slayer comes out to be more damage, all in all, than War Master. Another thing to keep in note is this last tier 6, Flawless Execution, critical damage plus 20%. When you're working on champions that do damage based on the enemy's max HP, such as Coldheart, such as Armiger, this is something to think about. That's going to be a really hefty damage bonus for those characters. Outside of that, not worth it. That 20% is not worth giving up Giant Slayer or War Master. Additionally, there's Helm Smasher. Has a 50% chance of ignoring 25% of the target's defense. For skills that ignore defense, this 25% is in addition to the amount ignored by the skill. This is really good for your champions like Soulbound Bowyer or anybody else who does damage that ignores target defense, and is really good for your arena champions. In arena, the HP pools aren't as big, so being able to ignore defense instead can be really useful. On the defense tree, you've got increasing defense, you've got increasing resistance and things like that. The only real standouts here is if you do go all the way down, that's not it, one of these is, yes, Fearsome Presence. If you're building a stun, a character who uses a stun set, artifact set, Fearsome Presence is a really good level 6. It increases that by 5%, so instead of an 18% chance to stun, you're looking at a 23% chance to stun. Really useful. Also, any characters that have kind of utility for counterattack, you'll want to look into the defense tree. A lot of the skills here are useful for taking the hits and counterattacking. The support tree is where you're going to want to look for your healers, your shielders, and your debuffers for the most part. If you're looking at a debuffer, you're going to start with the accuracy. You're going to come down to charged focus, which gives you more accuracy. And you're going to come all the way down to get to Master Hexer. Has a 30% chance to extend the duration of any debuff cast by this champion by 1 turn. Doesn't do stun, sleep, freeze, provoke, fear, true fear, bomb. Essentially the crowd control effects. Really nice. If you've got someone like Stag Knight who has a 95% chance after booked to proc his skill, you've got Sniper. Increases the chances of placing any debuff from skills or artifacts by 5%. That's wonderful. Doesn't do stun, sleep, freeze, etc. If you go all the way down, there are some fun skills in here. You've got max HP way up. Just increases the champion's turn meter by 20% whenever an allied hero drops below 25%. You don't see these used much, in all honesty. The level 6. You see occasionally someone will go for a level 6 in defense, but almost always you end up seeing level 6 in offense. Most characters, most champions, will go offense in one of the other two. Now, in the support tree, if you come down this left-hand side, you're looking at things that increase healing, or things that increase shield. So very good for your healers, your shielders, and your debuffers. Your buffers can also utilize this in Lasting Gifts. Has a 30% chance to extend the duration of any buffs cast by this champion by 1 turn. When you're filling out your Masteries, think about the champion you're using, think about what you're using them for, and then look at your Masteries. Go and do your research, go and find other people who have built them and how they've built them and why they've built them that way. Never copy and paste Masteries from anywhere. Look at the Masteries themselves. As you can see, you can pull any of them up to read them and see what they do. You can then go online and get an idea of their effectiveness, what top-end players think about them. But don't copy. Make your own decisions about this. Now, in terms of Masteries, you see you've got scrolls up here. You got the little scroll, the medium scroll, and the big scroll. So level 1 and level 2 will utilize the little scroll. Level 3 and level 4 utilizes the medium scroll, and level 5 and level 6 utilize the big scroll. Now, the costs, 5 little scrolls there. Next one up is 30 little scrolls. Go away. Anytime now. Go away. Hoi. Next one up is 80 medium scrolls. And it goes higher. It also goes higher depending on how many in that row you already have. Up to the point where the last one takes 350 really big scrolls. That is a serious grind. And let me show you why. Where you get scrolls is in the dungeon section, Minotaur's Lair, which will come up anytime now. Anytime. There we go. So in Minotaur's Lair here, you get scrolls. The higher you go up, the more scrolls you get, and the higher rarity of scrolls. Now, why I say it's a major slog, you're looking at 350 scrolls to get your tier 6 mastery of the big type. Even at level 15, best you're getting 12 scrolls, so you're looking at, what, 30 runs at the very least, just for the big scrolls? And that's not counting the little scrolls or the medium scrolls. It is a serious slog. The first time you try and get 5 champions to full masteries, you're going to be tearing your hair out and screaming to the world. However, you can spend 800 gems to just buy all the scrolls for 1 champion. This is really good on your campaign farmer, your first person to 6 stars. After that, it's going to be a judgment call. Is that where you want to spend your gems? Now, in terms of Minotaur's Lair, there's not much in terms of the battle you need to worry about, but we will go in and take a look at the Minotaur's abilities here real quick. Let's go ahead and just jump into this battle so we can take a look. I do not have full masteries on everybody yet, so these are the people I'm mastering. Gilek does have full masteries, and I've got him there just to speed up the process a little bit, as well as to make the fight easy, or easier. The waves in this are not too difficult. Even at level 15, they do some damage, but not exorbitant amounts of damage, so not too worrisome there. Your real problem is going to be when you get to the Minotaur. He can hit like a Mack truck, and we'll see that pretty simply here. We're going to go over his skills pretty quickly because we'll probably kill him pretty quickly. I didn't think about that when I chose the level, but we'll see if we can get through them. In general, though, it's really going to be brute force. There aren't really any mechanics here that you can finesse your way around. It's going to be your survivability and brute force. And when you get to the point of having a full set of 5 with masteries, the key is to use 4 of them and then the new champion leveling up so that all the scrolls go to the new champion. This will increase your speed for new champions quite significantly. So it's really just that first 5 champion slog that's going to make you want to cry and curl up in a ball and just die in the fire. As I said, it's pretty much brute force for these guys. Not too scary, not too difficult. You've got a decent amount of single target damage, and that 5th champ, if you're only leveling or getting scrolls for 1 champ, is going to die every time. It's just going to happen. They're going to be targeted, they're going to die. But if we ever get to the boss here, we'll take a quick look at the boss's abilities. Anytime, guys. There we go. My new Iron Brago to have now. So, his passive here, immune to crowd control effects, also immune to HP effects. Pretty much every boss has that. Passive here, starts the battle with a rage buff for 3 turns. While active, the rage buff increases the damage the Minotaur deals by 400%. This is why he's going to nuke your ass. Once the rage buff expires, the Minotaur will become dazed and will receive a dazed debuff for 1 turn. While active, the dazed debuff increases the damage the Minotaur receives by 200%. Once the dazed debuff expires, the Minotaur will once again receive a rage buff for 3 turns, starting the cycle over. These buffs and debuffs cannot be blocked or removed by skills that remove debuffs. Pretty simple. He's going to hit pretty hard. Swift Doom attacks all enemies, places a hex debuff for 5 turns on 3 random targets. These debuffs cannot be resisted. Okay? Attacks all enemy, deals double damage to enemies with a hex debuff. So, the Minotaur is all about being able to survive the damage he's doing when he's raged and has your characters hexed. Really, when you get a few of your champions to 6 stars, level 60, and in okay gear, he's not going to be a challenge for you. So don't worry too much about the little skills or the synergies you're going to need to beat him. You probably won't have to worry. Now, since we're here, I'm going to give you one trick that I have found to make another aspect of the game a little bit easier. So one of the advanced quests you're going to get sometimes is to level up a mastery on one of your champions. If you're like me and you're working on 5 champions and they're already into the medium or the really biggest scrolls, the advanced or divine, look, they have names. How novel. The advanced or the divine scrolls. Trying to get enough scrolls at 4 to 7 to level up a mastery is going to take all your damn energy. It's really annoying. However, if you come all the way down here to stage 5, it gives you 5 or 6 scrolls. You go into stage 5, and you take one of your team out. So, Iron Brago, go away. We're going to go ahead and find someone we really don't have masteries on. So, hey, Steel Skull here. I've got no masteries on Steel Skull. So, if I were to run this, instead of giving 5 or 6 of the basic scrolls to yep, basic scrolls, to one of the people who have already maxed out on their basic scrolls, it's going to give those 5 or 6 scrolls directly to Steel Skull. And that's going to allow me to do one run and level up one of his level 1 masteries right there. So one run, 10 energies, I've got someone mastered. This took me until just recently to figure out, and I am kicking myself so hard about it already. The amount of energy I have spent is phenomenal. Don't make my mistake. Utilize that little trick to get the mastery you need when doing the advanced quest. So, if we ever load back in, we will come to the index. We're going to grab a Ponzi elf today to do our aesthetic review. Let's grab this Ponzi elf. Who do we have? We have Shiramani, great freeze champion. If you get free Shiramani, highly recommend you level her up. Now, starting at the bottom, as we always do, starting with the armor, she has what looks like knee guards. It's really hard to tell whether or not those greaves are metal or leather. Either way, a little bit of protection, but she's got good knee protection. I applaud her there. She's got wonderful scale mail drape here, though it's not covering the front, leaving easy access to big veins in her legs. So not the best idea there, but she's covering her hips and her waist and all with nice metal scale mail. That is going to be very protective, and the layered aspect of it is going to make it even more protective. If this is fabric, it's going to add a little bit of weight. If it's leather, she's not going to feel anything that hits her in these areas, in all honesty. Leather on top of scale, with scale on top of the leather, it's just going to be a massive amount of armor. Decently heavy too. She's got a pretty decent chest piece here, covers the vital organs in general. She's got a bit of the fantasy thing going on here with cleavage showing, but you know, it's a fantasy game. We'll have to deal with that. A pretty nice cape that comes around. Her fur, we'll call that fur, maybe feather. Pauldrons are nice. They're tight on the shoulder guards there. She's actually going to be able to move with them. Really good there. In terms of her gauntlets, we're going to have to take a look at this hand. Does she might actually have finger protection on those. If she does, these gauntlets are beautiful. She's got good vambraces on them. They are pretty, very nicely tooled, and very protective. Good vambraces, elbow guards, and she's using a pole arm. If she has finger protection, which it looks like she does, if you, let's see if we can zoom in. She does on the thumb, at least. Maybe? No. She's got metal plates on the top of the fingers. So that's going to be somewhat protective for the actual hit. If it's sliding down the blade, she's still going to lose fingers, sadly. So she almost had good gauntlets. She's got a very fancy headdress with a helm on it. The feathers are actually not going to get in the way. She's going to have to replace them constantly, but they're not going to be a problem for her actually fighting. And she's got a tight-fitting, what looks like leather or metal helm. Open-faced, but that's very common in helms. No gorget, so the neck is exposed, but really good armor. I mean, if she had gauntlets and a gorget, this would be 5 gourd. As it is, for the armor, we're going to give her 4 gourd. On her weapon, she's got this wonderful polearm. It's kind of a mix between a mage staff and an actual combat weapon. And it's got a great glow effect on it. No butt spike, no crossguard. Very pretty though. Because it doesn't have those protective things like the butt spike or the crossguard, and the fact that she's not utilizing the proper handwear to use this weapon in melee, I'm going to go ahead and drop down and give her very pretty staff only a 3 gourd. In terms of her badassitude, she's going to be likely a mage behind the lines. She's got some reach, but all in all, I don't find her very intimidating. That will probably change the first time she freezes my buddy next to me and he shatters like a porcelain figurine. But to begin with, I'm going to give her a badassitude of 2 gourds. So all in all, Shiramani, very nice in general, but not to my liking and only somewhat effective in melee, given the amount of her that is exposed and the fact that she's only going to be able to take a couple hits on the weapon before she's no longer able to hold it. So all in all, I'm going to give Shiromani here a 3 gourd. Once again, thank you for joining me on Jacko's Raider Rants. If you have anything you want to add, tips and tricks you have for Minotaur's Lair and getting those mastery ups, please remember to comment below. And if you enjoyed the content, please like, subscribe, and toll that bell. Thank you again, and have a great day.